It is World Music Day, and in studio I have two intelligent artists, musicians, writers, enthusiasts who are going to talk about this day and why it should be celebrated. Susan Kerunen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
And Andrew Kagwa, the usual suspect. I don't know when you're releasing your album, but we shall wait. Susan, I'll start with you.
I hope.
Give us a genesis. What can you tell us about the genesis of World Music Day?
From my recollection, I know that World Music Day was initiated in Paris by a gentleman called Jack Lang, I think, and that was in the year 1982. And his intent was basically to give our music a day where it is celebrated as a world language, where artists around the world are seen at the same level. Yeah. So you'll notice that the initial spirit of World Music Day was a day where Susan is happy and free to pick, say, Beyonce's song and perform it on a stage without fear that, one, I'm going to be imprisoned for maybe distorting her sound or even just performing with issues of copyright. And it also went as far as even amateur artists, you know, being on the same stage with well-established artists, and that is really the spirit of World Music Day. It is basically to use music as a language of unity and coexistence, and, you know, a very, you know, we are seeing eye to eye, you know, other than the other days. Of course, it has grown immensely into, it has morphed into different themes around the world, but that is really the spirit of World Music Day.
And for those who are watching and might not know Susan Kerunen, kindly tell us about what kind of music you do, how long have you been in the industry, if I want to listen to some of your pieces, where do I get them, so that we get to know the person we are talking to today.
Susan Kerunen is a Ugandan fusionist. I'm a singer-songwriter. I do fusion art. I run away from the term world music because people want to know it a lot. It is not. Yeah. It is fusion art. And I am very emphatic on branding myself with who I am as an Alur woman. So I employ in my indigenous sounds, and I've done that for 16 years. I sing in Alur, I speak Alur, my indigenous instruments I used on stage, but I actually went beyond that. I went beyond just representing the Alur culture to try and be a cultural entrepreneur or a cultural activist for my country. And as my music grew over the years, I started off in 2006. So I've been in the industry for close to 16 or 17 years. So as my music grew and as my career also grew and as I interacted with, you know, different cultures around the world and in Uganda, I realized my job was bigger. And my influences were also many. I mean, I would not go to, say, Burundi and listen to some beautiful sounds and not want to show what I have shared. And I guess that is the whole essence of fusion. As a fusionist, I was trying so hard to expose beautiful indigenous cultures that were not being seen on, you know, on normal stages and with normal ears. So that has been really my role. I've had a couple of very beautiful moments in my career. I have 6 albums to my name. I run the Power Rhythm Foundation, which is also a platform where this kind of art that I do is given a platform, you know, to be experienced at least frequently, because as you know, Uganda does not have such platforms where indigenous art is actually showcased. So you'll find that most of the times when people want to experience indigenous art, we are going to spaces like maybe Ndere, or you're in association with a cultural troupe, or, you know, it's just that it's not enough. Or when you travel and go up country, you know, that is when you get to experience this, which I think is wrong, because the indigenous sounds and you know, rhythms and language is actually who we are as Ugandans.
Indeed.
And it's supposed to be given a center stage.
And what a heavy CV. It's quite heavy. Your CV is huge and humongous. It's exciting.
I guess it comes with time, really. It comes with time and experience, and also, I mean, passion and interest. Along my journey, I've gotten to interact with the French quite a bit. My journey and my career has really been paved by largely, you know, their platforms. And currently I sit as the board chair of Alliance Française. And yeah, I'm happy to do that because as an artist, I'm happy to talk about the benefits that I've, you know, managed to get while interacting with them. And I think it's important for artists to be aware of such benefits because our industry is not in a place where a lot of the things that we crave to have, a lot of the benefits that come with certain established and more developed countries are not actually in Uganda. So associating ourselves with some of these spaces and, you know, institutions helps and artists get a springboard in a way.
Well, Susan, we are recognizing the beauty and diversity of music and what it has to offer. As you've mentioned, you sing in Alur, and for Uganda that has quite a number of languages and cultures and tribes and everything that is involved in that. Why is it important to celebrate music and its diversity as it comes?
First and foremost, we need to respect the day. You know, if we choose to celebrate it, let's respect it.
Yes, indeed.
And I think Uganda's diversity comes with a lot of beauty. And as an artist, why would I choose to use something else to celebrate my existence? So yes, we must celebrate music because it's not just for the entertainment aspect of it. We can use it for a number of things, you know. But I think Uganda, apart from using a number of platforms to market our country, for instance, you know, wildlife that is really taking a lot of attention right now, we have forgotten one of the easiest and most lucrative forms of tourism, which is music tourism or culture tourism in this country. And it would have been the easiest because there's no effort to that. You do not even need to invest a hell of money to it. Just empower the artist and give them space to express themselves. And before you know it, Uganda would have been thriving, you know, just like you see countries like South Africa, you know, countries like Congo. We do not know Congo by for any other thing. Their music spoke before us.
True.
So it's something that I think as a country we need to be more intentional about. As we empower other sectors, music tourism must take center stage. And Ugandan artists have shown you that our diversity and our indigenousness is next to none, by the way, in Africa. And I go around, you know, people, when I travel, people say, Susan, you say so much about your country. But it is the truth.
You have to be proud.
You do not get a country like Uganda where 6 hours away you are in a totally different region. You do not even understand the language. The food is totally different. The weather is different. You don't get that. You know, why can't we become aware about some of these aspects of our culture? And I insist on our music heritage because it is something that we need to exploit.
Wow. Andrew, I want to bring you in to this conversation. Music World Day or World Music Day, and also globally known as Fête de la Musique. Fête de la Musique.
De la Musique.
De la Musique. Oh, wow. Well, quite a tactic. Why would a Mwananchi, who is probably a casual listener to music, what would you tell them that it's important to celebrate the World Music Day? One
funny thing is, my very first time celebrating World Music Day was in 2014. I wasn't really an active journalist then. I was like, you know, I was just knocking around like, yeah, probably you're getting into this thing. And it was different. That time, they performed on the streets. She was one of the performers, then Sandra Nankoma, Giovanni Chiinji, And then I think it all culminated into a show at the National Theatre that had, I think, Joe Sebunjo and Maurice Kiria collaborating on stage. Amazing. I think one of the things I noticed out of that was music went to the people, because I think she performed that place in opposite Diamond Trust Bank, that street over there. Of course, most people could not understand what she was singing, and it was very spontaneous how those performances happened. Like, we would walk and then stop somewhere, and then we burst into a song.
Interesting, like a musical.
Crazy times.
So, like, that confusion where people are like, what the hell is going on? And then before you know, they feel like they're enjoying it. For me, that beauty is what makes this day important, because I feel like in Uganda we've got to that place where we do not respect music enough. Sometimes even the artists that are doing it do not respect it enough. They feel like it's a by the way, it's a pastime. Even the way they are producing it, someone will say, boy, baby, ebizimba abantu tebabyagala katuyimba ebyetsiru. Like, someone even sings ngamanyi byayimba byatsiru, but they go ahead and sing because they feel like this shouldn't be hard, this should be easy. So I feel like this day should just help the Mwananchi actually appreciate music and just understand that it plays more part than just entertaining them. It's informing them, it's educating them. It's specifically the main reason for this day.
Yeah. Do we archive our history, our being, through music?
As Uganda?
Yes. Or as a human race?
We are supposed to, but I don't think we do that intentionally. Like, somehow life just forces us to do, like, you do it without intending. Like, we don't get in saying that, let me do this, probably people will refer to it. We just find ourselves doing it. I think which is the most interesting thing about music. Like, not just music, art being the way of life. Like, you find yourself doing things not knowing how people are going to relate with what you're doing at that time. Because I don't really think we sat and were like, let's archive COVID. But for some reason, people did songs which people will listen to and they will be like, wow, so this happened in 2020. Some of it I don't even think was on record, like officially. It came as jokes where you're like, hi, he has given us more 21 days. And someone just does a freestyle on social media. But trust me, you can go back to it and you're like, wow, so this happened.
Famously are the South Africans that literally told their story of apartheid through music. But as of now, I want to cross over to Masaka for a small interlude, as we say in music, to Mr. Onyango, who is in Masaka, to tell us what's happening there. Mr. Onyango.
Good morning to you who is watching NTV. I'm coming to you live from Masaka City, the center of what some people prefer to say Buganda. And this is the day that the Lord has made according to Mpuga, the 21st of June, where he is having a Thanksgiving prayers that is going to be held just a stone throw away from where I am. That is at Chitovu Arena grounds, later starting at 10 in the morning, whereby the clergy from Chitovu are going to lead the prayers, and later on there will be a rally, or he will address the gathering. We have been informed that the chief guest is the Katikiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Maiga, who hails from this very area. When we're speaking to the organizing chairperson of this function, the Thanksgiving prayers, that is Honorable Bedi Bwanika, the Member of Parliament for Chimanya Kabonera here in Masaka, a division in Masaka, he indicated that they expect at least 10,000 people to attend, and this includes the leaders of his political party, that is the National Unity Platform, who have also been invited. Of course, we know that there has been a bad blood between the two, but for them, they say, much as they were not invited, allegedly, for the event that the leader of the party, that is the party president, Robert Chagulanyi, had a rally here a fortnight ago, for them, they have taken decision to invite them, and they expect that they will attend. The situation in Masaka is calm at the moment, but of course, maybe later on, we expect that there will be a throng of people who will be heading to Chitovu Arena to attend that rally. Mpuga arrived here last evening. He entered Masaka at about 7 p.m. And of course there were a number of people who were waiting for him along the roadsides as he made his way towards the city center. I can't say that it was as heavy as what many may have expected, but possibly that was his plan, not to have a big number of people welcoming him, since this is his own home where he has always come back. So maybe that was not a big deal as some people may have wanted to make it. But the question is, why is it, what is this Thanksgiving all about? According to the organizers, they're thanking God for the life of Mpuga first of all, that he has enabled him also to serve in various political positions, including as the leader of the opposition in parliament, which he was a position he was removed from just a few months ago. But since then he has been appointed as a commissioner of parliament, much as this also now is being contested after his political party, the National Unity Platform, asked him to step aside following the allegations that the commissioners of parliament had taken a decision to award themselves an amount worth 1.7 billion shillings, of which Mpuga is supposed to be a beneficiary of 500 million shillings, just as the other commissioners. So the National Unity Platform leadership thinks that this was not right because it was not called for, the service award, and it encroaches on the taxpayers' money. That is a contested subject. He says Mpuga himself has come out to defend that it was not illegal, the money was planned for, and therefore there is nothing to apologize for. So there is that drama which has had him suspended as the deputy president of the party for Buganda, and of course that is the situation as it is at the moment. So we'll be waiting to hear more from what unfolds at Chitovu Arena grounds later on in the day. But of course yesterday indicated that he called on the people here in Masaka, in Lukaya, to follow him, not to give up on the fight, because just as they helped to vote for a stranger that he introduced to them, of course we do not know what he was meaning. We can only believe that it was an insinuation that he introduced a stranger to the people of Masaka, a person they did not know even where he's born from, and they decided to vote for the person. So he called on them to maintain the spirit. But what was notable, we know that the National Unity Platform uses the slogan, people power, our power, but for him this was not the case yesterday. We had him using slogan, Lukaya Jew, Uganda Jew, Uganda power. So we shall read into that in the near future what it could be meaning. But also we know that the National Unity Platform colors, which a party that he belongs to, is red and white and blue. But for this case we saw white and orange, so we do not know the transition in colors. But given the animosity that exists in the party, certainly that gives a certain indication on where we could be heading to as we head towards the 2026 general election. So that is the general situation here in Masaka, and we shall keep you, our viewers, updated on what unfolds here. Just keep tuned to NTV.
That wonderful update in Masaka, the Thanksgiving of Mpuga, who is striving to keep his status as a political force in Uganda. Well, coming back to our conversation of the day, that is the World Music Day, and in studio I would like to remind you that I have the wonderful Susan Keranen and Andrew Kagwa, who have been discussing the World Music Day and why it is important. Susan, I'll come back to you. Yes. Uganda, what and how are we celebrating World Music Day? Which is today. Which is today.
Yes. Of course, I'm aware about the celebrations happening at the Sheraton Gardens that have been organized by Alliance Francaise.
Yeah.
And there is a very exciting lineup going on there. We've got very young blood, and I'm really impressed about this new wave of talent that is springing up in Uganda. They're doing everything against the odds, you know. They are, so we've got Azawi, who will be a curtain raiser, a headliner act. Joshua Baraka, Macadam, my friend from Nairobi, Kenya, representing the world genre.
In quotes.
Yes, and Nilotica,
Yeah.
I think. And then there's a leadership brand, Baby. They're really very proud of him. And there's a young lady whose
From
name
Bale?
escapes my head, from Bale.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this is what the organization, of course, now I'll speak for Alliance Française. As Alliance Française, much as we go for the already known names,
Yeah.
we also stand for advocating for artists who are in the verge of breaking out or actually starting off, and putting them on the same stage with those who you seemingly know are, you know, big. And Alliance Française has done this for a very long time, from as long as I can remember. Artists like myself were running around, you know, big names. That time I was running around people like the Rachel Magolas. I was, you know, running behind people like the Shinobe. I was looking at them like gods, you know, and they gave me an opportunity to perform. We were performing for no money at the time. We just needed the platform, you know, to shine. And when the time came, we got to a place where we are actually mentors, you know. So I've seen my growth through such platforms, and I'm very sure that the artists who continue to be affiliated to platforms such as Fête de la Musique, Francophonie, and other, you know, initiatives that Alliance Française has will definitely make it, because they're plugging them into the right spaces. And the people who are being, who they are being exposed to, both locally and internationally, are people with the best intentions for the arts. We've seen that world over. You've seen that with Francophone artistic spaces, that it is really, they're bent on nurturing and, you know, growth of an artist. So, yeah, that's what happens.
Where is this happening?
At the Sheraton Gardens. Yeah.
It's
free of charge. There's no pay to it. It's free of charge. Gets open, I think, by 4 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's free and goes until midnight.
Midnight.
Yes.
Andrew, why should we go and celebrate World Music Day?
Just understanding the sheer importance of music.
Apart from watching Baraka, Azawi, and the likes,
it being therapy and a reliever, but the spirit of World Music Day is that it's always been free, and I know concerts are usually held in Paris, and they are also free as well, and they rarely happen in the conventional spaces. Like someone will put up a concert in the middle of the street, more like a street jam, yeah, how often do we actually get a chance to attend a concert that's free in this country?
With such a lineup.
You have a Lideki who is, you could say, fresh from Sauti za Busara. You have Joshua Baraka straight off Bain's tour, and then you have Azai, who's also fresh from her own tour in Europe. Like, how often do you get that? You're basically seeing all these people perform for the very first time since they came back from tour.
Is there a theme for the celebration this year?
Not that I know of. I've not seen, unless that has
no particular message.
No particular message.
Probably beauty, celebrating the beauty and diversity of
definitely.
music. Andrew, staying with you, looking at us celebrating music, what it means to us, do you feel the industry, and we've had this conversation so many times, but do you feel that the industry has something to celebrate?
The Ugandan industry?
Yes! Do we have something to celebrate and be proud of?
How I wish you asked this question like in 2012.
Sadly, it's 2024.
I wasn't even there then. but
That's the escapism.
You were here.
no, I wasn't in the industry.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a teenager, but
you see, right now, because music was liberalized very much, I believe the times we were younger, there were quite very many gatekeepers when it came to what got on radio, what got on TV, which gatekeepers lost their job, I think, with the moment TikTok came in. When TikTok and social media came in, they kind of opened the floodgates. The beauty about that is they expose you to some new talent, but then they expose you to everything. In Uganda, we were exposed to everything. If you're to ask someone the songs they are listening to, if they consume a lot of radio in Uganda or TV, trust me, they are listening to songs that you might not remember by December. So in that regard, there is very little to celebrate. But I believe we can use this day to remind ourselves of what music actually stands for.
And what is that?
One, music should be the feeling, music should be the message. Every time we tell our friends to think better, because music is an expression, every time we tell our friends to think better, because it's a conversation I've had with someone who works here, so sikugea. Like, yeah, like I've once in a while told Crystal, like, yeah, maybe you can enjoy that music, but can you sing about other things? And then he will tell you, we shall sing about this, and other people will sing about those things you want them to sing about, the message music. But then you're asking them, why is everyone throwing the responsibility of singing the message to other people? Who is actually doing that message music who you're throwing it to? We need to think better when it comes to the way we are doing our music. We actually need to be inspired. Even if you're talking about love, but it's coming from a personal perspective, there is a way we shall relate to that song more than when you sing about love because you think it's the thing to sing about, because you think it's the hot thing that's going to get you on air. So today we should use today to remind ourselves that music is an expression. We do not just wake up and sing Enkudi because people have refused to listen to the byamagezi byagala okuyimba. We should use this day to tell ourselves that music has a message. At times will not be understood by everyone. I would be worried if I was an artist and everyone understands what I sing about. That's a problem, because then it means either I'm communicating or not communicating, but chances are you're not communicating. Your message is tailored to a certain people, and there are people that will not understand it, whether you like it or not. Yeah. So we should think about music like that. It's not so it's supposed to be populist, that it should make you hot. Sometimes it's the message that you're telling the people.
Susan,
yes.
As you celebrate, of course you reflect.
Of course.
When you reflect on the music industry and your journey, you've mentioned a little bit about it and how proud you are that you are able to give back to the younger artists that are coming through. How do you see the music industry becoming better than it is today? And what needs to be done? And of course, what are those challenges that are holding the industry back?
Unlike Andrew, I must say I'm seeing a lot of good things, and of course a lot of bad things. So now that Andrew has mentioned the bad ones, let me talk about the good ones.
Indeed.
I think for me the good thing that I'm seeing in the industry right now is a more aware audience. You know, we actually have an audience that can choose to be, I'll not use a bad word, can choose just to be there. And then we have an audience that will kick your butt for, excuse me. Like we have an audience that will totally kick you and force you to do the right thing, you know. That's a good thing, you know. And we also have a generation of artists in this industry who do not care about, for instance, the generalization of you have to be big, you have to make a hit, but they're just there doing their thing and they're comfortable in their space. You get young people like Keith Mugenyi, you get people like Giovanni Chiyingi, you get people like, for instance, Wake, you know, people who are swimming against the tide. They don't care. Are you playing my music on radio? No. So what? I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to stick to that. And these are young people. That is a good thing. It means we actually have a generation who can live after the likes of us are gone, you know, and actually steer the industry well. The other beauty that I see is, of course, the open spaces. You know, the floodgates were open, but it's not a very bad thing, because then it also poses for us a challenge to maybe work towards using these spaces well. We're talking about the digital space yesterday. And right now, so many of us are challenged to actually try and use the spaces well. You know, my management was telling me, Susan, you have to be on TikTok, you have to be on Snapchat, and I'm telling them, you guys, you know? And they're like, no, we can tailor your information, you know? And I'm telling, to that platform. I'm like, what am I going to tell these people? But somehow, yes, we need to find a way around, because I cannot deny that I do not have people on such platforms who actually would want to follow me. They are there. And actually, I tried, and honestly, the first day I peeped. I just peeped it. I was flooded by all the, and I ran away. But I mean, so that is also a good thing, Andrew. I think it's basically, how do we leverage such spaces for the good of the industry? My worry is politics. Number one, that so many artists are losing the cause and losing their soul. And once you politicize a creative space, you know, you're going to lose out on would-be, you know, artists who would be singing about messages, because then you're compromised. And yet, I'm not saying politics is something that artists should not take part in. They actually should, because at some point we're going to be decision makers. We've seen artists around the world who have taken up to politics and even taken up political offices. But then do it with the heart for the people. Do not lose yourself as an artist. And when I say about that, artists are supposed to have a season. When you listen to albums from people like Lucky Dube, you will notice that they had seasons of singing about different things. And in all those seasons, they were very intentional. Lucky Dube was singing about love very, very intently, by the way. Then he went to politics. Then he went to appetite. Then he went to singing about his mother. Then he also, and in all those stages, he actually communicated, which I think is supposed to be the lifespan of an artist. Which is my worry now, that I do not see a certain generation of artists in Uganda living to that kind of life cycle. You know, they are stuck in a space where I have to make a hit, I have to make a hit, I have to make a hit. That is why we are getting, you know, these songs that you're mentioning coming up, and people, you know, are just running mad with it in a time when we're actually supposed to be addressing issues. You know, at a time when some of these people who command masses are supposed to be addressing issues, because then you have people listening to you at that time. You need to be thinking about using that space for actually social change.
Indeed.
That is my worry, and that's my biggest fear. And just like Andrew said, if there's this notion of people continuously saying, let's leave this to the who's and who's to sing about this, we might be in a space where we are past that, and I want maybe to sing about my newfound love, and I may not also be singing about that at that time. Then we are losing out on information. And that is the problem with Ugandans, and I think it is a culture where Ugandans sometimes are too passive about things. We get to a space where someone is being strangled right next to you on the road. I saw a flying kick guy mugging somebody on the road. The Bruce Lees of this world. And people are walking past this man. You know, it doesn't matter to them that someone is being killed right in front of you. They're going to come on social media, they'll even make fun of the kick and say, oh my God, the kick came like in this angle, and they laugh about it, but someone has lost a life. That person is a father, you know, that person could have been an entrepreneur, you know, in your life or in the life of your child. And these are the issues, you know. Look at what is happening in Nairobi now. That's Gen Z. You know, we do not have an aware young audience in this country like what you're seeing in Nairobi. So for me, these are my fears.
Like you see, when it goes back to the fact that one artist is supposed to communicate, like it's not even just the music. Art is supposed to communicate, and art is supposed to talk about the times. Like art cannot live outside the times.
No.
Yet in Uganda times you feel like art is existing outside the times. No one is trying to talk about the things that people are facing, because it's something that I think Burna Boy was talking about sometime when he was like life has very many moods. You cannot be waking up every day and you feel like a party.
It is so true.
All the time.
It is so true, and it's exactly what the Ugandan artists. Party after party. Sometimes I don't understand how you do not have a time in your life to think. You do not have a time in your life to think about, for instance, the health of your neighbor, you know, or the seasons of your country. For instance, we are faced with climate change right now. People are being washed away by rain and landslides, and Ugandans seem so not aware about climate change. No one even talks about it.
Like people sang about party in the middle of a pandemic.
You get, right?
Wow.
So honestly, those are my fears. As you asked, those are my fears, and I think, yes, what can be done better is I keep on, you know, urging the media in this country to try and, you know, I mean, you know,
Susan,
you know, yeah, please, like, help us out, you know, help us out and, you know, speak about some of these things more often.
That's why we're here today.
If we are talking about pushing the cause of indigenous sounds of Uganda, please give it a platform, give it space to breathe. Andrew in our side talk was talking about spaces, for instance, performance spaces. Some of the media houses in this country run these spaces. You know, we have events happening, you have a Chigunda, you have all these things. Give space to some of these things to breathe, and you know, that is the opportunity you people have. The power you have is that you speak to many at, you know, at a go, you know. Emphasize on some of these standards. I think it's really important, because in future we're going to hold you accountable.
It's crucial. And in 1 minute, your last word about World Music Day and what someone should know about it.
Yeah, one, it's a day to celebrate music, and it's not a day that's left for only artists. Like, even if it means you like walking out of here and breaking into a song, you are allowed to. So, so I think I would tell people, like, one, love music, celebrate music, listen to it, and break into a song if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking of breaking into a song, Susan, I can't. It will be criminal if I let you leave this set without giving us an a cappella.
An a cappella?
Yes.
Why do people call it an a cappella? I'm going to give you a chant.
A chant. Away you go.
So, From Ashes We Rise is my latest album, as I got released last year, actually. From Ashes We Rise is a compilation of emotions that I went through the lockdown. I decided to put this collaborative album together with a number of artists that I'd met around the world. Now, From Ashes We Rise is we're getting out of the dust, you know? And when I say wa eyu malo, you say yao yao.
Yao.
Repeat after me.
Okay.
All right.
Wa eyu malo.
Yao yao.
Kudamora.
Yao yao.
Kanyoro nechot.
Yao yao.
Wa eyu kudivuru.
Yao yao.
Kumilma.
Yao yao.
Wa eyu malo.
Yao yao. And you those watching at home, I don't know what to say earlier, but thank you for keeping with us every Monday to Friday here at NTV from 6 to 9 a.m. It's morning at NTV, and be sure to continue the conversation on our social media platforms. That is on X, which is Twitter. Most of you know it as that. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Look out for NTV Uganda and use the hashtag morning at NTV. Look out for me, Idris Matusegawa, and tell me, what do you want to hear on this show now? Thank you and have a very lovely weekend. Bye-bye.